Hi buddy, Michael here. Today's video I'm going to expose the woke right, show you the similarities they share with the woke left, and also what we need to do rather than follow these two woke ideologies. So let's go. Okay, so let me start off by saying that I generally would see myself as right wing, and when the phrase woke right came out, at first I thought it was a stupid thing to say, and I thought it was basically similar how the left call everyone far right. I thought the woke right was a similar thing. But as time went on, as I started dealing with certain groups on the right, I started realizing this is an actual legitimate thing. Because when I was debating with some of these people on the right, I was realizing it's just like debating with people on the far left. In terms of they throw out random statements. So, the far left would just call you a racist. The far right would just say you're a Zionist. To both sides, logic, common sense and facts means nothing to them. And as I was watching an interview with Tommy Robinson the other day, and a couple of hardcore ethno-nationalists were arguing with him, and they were arguing with Tommy the same way that the far left argue with anybody on the right.
So I wanted to ask you.
Okay, so at least I got there. At least I got there in the end. The problem's not about me coming to report. The problem's about Zionism. What does Zionism mean?
What do you think it means?
I'm asking you.
It's a homeland for the Jewish people.
And they shouldn't have a homeland?
Shouldn't we?
Yeah, 100% we should.
No.
And even anybody on the sensible left as well, because you can never be extreme enough. And I found it interesting how in this interview, I sort of share many positions with Tommy Robinson, although I think he's doing what I did. He's gradually moving more to what you would call a ethno or ancestral nationalist rather than a civic nationalist. But a lot of what the hardcore ethno woke right people do is they are purity spiraling. They want 100% of foreigners removed. Whereas what people like myself and Tommy Robinson saying is, yes, England belongs to the English, but we have no problem with good migrants in sensible numbers.
It's good to have a conversation, but it is good. But David, I've come here to repeat on the murder of Rhiannon. That's what I've come here for.
Good. And there'll be many more because of multiculturalism. Do you agree on that?
All of it.
There'll be many more rapes and murders of our indigenous population.
Which is why I've been saying that. Yeah, I've been saying that. But that's what I'm saying. What do you want to do? Do you want to deport everyone that's not white?
No.
So what do you want to do then?
Well, I don't know. It's difficult.
What's your solution? So you don't know. What's your solution? You haven't got at me, but what's your solution?
I don't know.
Okay, well I know what I'd do. Yeah, I'd stop Islamic immigration. I'd stop all mass immigration. I'd deport every criminal. Anyone who wants Sharia law would be gone. Criminals would be gone. But good, hard-working, decent, integrated, assimilated members of our society, like some of my best friends and the people I love, would not have to be deported. Okay.
Whereas because the woke right are so they purity spiral, if you dare say that England should not be 100% English, you're the enemy. So you could say, no, well, I'm for 99.9% English, and we could have 0.01% good migrants. They'll say, oh, you're a traitor, because you can never be pure enough for them. And that's the same as the woke left. You could be a wonderful feminist like J.K. Rowling, but unless you support men being allowed to box women and knock them out, then you're not woke enough, you're not pure enough for the movement. And logic and common sense means nothing. Like they were just screaming at Tommy, you're a Zionist, you're a Zionist. The same way that the left scream racist, racist, when the term racist has lost all meaning. Now the term Zionist is losing all meaning because it's taken on a completely different form. And Tommy even said to them, what does a Zionist mean? And Zionism basically means you believe that the Jewish people should have a homeland. Whereas to the woke right, Zionism basically means the Jewish conspiracy to control the world. And that at the centre of all the problems are Zionist Jewish people. And when they accuse Tommy of being a Zionist, it doesn't mean that Tommy believes the Jews should have a national home. They believe, literally, that Tommy is a Mossad agent getting paid by Israel to subvert England into civic nationalism, which makes no sense. And they come up with wild conspiracies, and facts and logics mean nothing to these people. I hear them say that Tommy Robinson is an agent for Mossad and he didn't even serve time in prison. That was all part of a scam and he was secretly in Israel. Like these sort of stupidity, Candace Owens type conspiracy theories. I say, you care more about Israel than England. And he's like, why'd you say that? That's a load of rubbish. They're like, you've been to Israel twice. He's like, well, I've been to Poland 5 times. Does that mean I care more about Poland? And they didn't have anything to say. They just said, well, you're a Zionist who hates your own people. He says, well, how do I hate my own people? I've been fighting for them for the last 15 years. And they're like, You want England to be replaced by foreigners. Despite if you watch his interviews, he's clearly said he's against mass migration. And they also do what the woke left do. They take things out of context. So there'll be an hour interview of very complex discussion and nuance, and they'll just take a 30-second clip to suit their agenda that Tommy Robinson supports mass migration. So as Tommy explained to them, the woman said, you want to flood us with Filipino migration. Whereas what Tommy said in the complete interview, he explained the context, was that he's against complete crazy mass migration. But if we do need migration for certain fields, then instead of getting people from Muslim countries who can't assimilate, get people from, say, the Philippines, because they work hard, they're mostly Christian, they can assimilate better. And if you look at it it makes complete sense. But they've snipped this 10-second clip of Tommy saying, yeah, get Filipino immigration, and say that he's for mass migration. Or there'll be a clip of Tommy saying how Sikhs and Hindus assimilate better than Muslims, and they'll say that Tommy wants England to be filled with Hindus and Sikhs. And this is the same sort of stuff they did with Donald Trump. And why I came to like Donald Trump, in terms of I realised I was being lied to. Because I saw a clip of Donald Trump seemingly saying something extreme, and I was like, man, this guy's a bit mental. And then when I saw the full context, I started watching full interviews, I realised that they were just lying about what he was saying. And that's the same thing they do with Tommy Robinson. Or anybody who's sensible, who's not extreme, that's what they do. Now, with all that being said, what I did is I was thinking, well, the woke right is a real thing. And I asked ChatGPT, I said, show me the similarities between the woke right and the woke left. And it gave me the similarities. I thought they were very true. So I'm going to share them now. Let's go. Right, so number one similarity, we've got moral absolutism. Both sides tend to frame politics as a struggle between good and evil rather than as trade-offs or pragmatic problem solvings. Opponents are often seen not just as wrong, but as immoral or dangerous. So you see that with the woke left, unless you believe that men can be women, then you're a dangerous individual. And if you disagree with people like Charlie Kirk, it's okay to physically assault or even kill them. And the same with the woke right. Unless you believe in absolute total remigration, you're seen as evil and as subversive to their so-called good against evil. Okay, number two is strong in-group, out-group thinking. So each side sharply divides society into the enlightened, righteous group and the ignorant, corrupt, or evil outsiders. This can reduce empathy and discourage compromise. And again, they get rid of all nuance and compromise. Unless you go along completely with their ideology, you are seen as the enemy. Okay, number three is ideological purity tests. Both police their own side for ideological deviation. Internal dissent is often punished, social shaming, expulsion, and cancellation. Loyalty matters as much or more than evidence or nuance. And again, we see this on both sides. And again, with the right, it's all about total remigration. And unless you're loyal to that and you don't go along with any nuance, like, okay, we could maybe have 90 or 95% and allow 10% good migrants. No, you're evil for saying such a terrible thing. You have to go along with total remigration. Otherwise, you're an evil scumbag. And you will be shamed. If you don't go along with their whack job theory, you'll be shamed. You'll be called a traitor. You'll be called a Zionist agent. And you'll be accused of putting the country in danger. You're for open borders. You're a civic nationalist. They'll just accuse you of things which you're not, because they want a purity spiral. Okay, number four is emotional reasoning over empirical debate. Arguments are frequently grounded in personal experience, identity, or moral outrage. Spend your time on X and you'll see all the moral outrage. Distrust of institutions, experts, or data that contradicts their narrative. Facts are often accepted or rejected based on whether they feel aligned with the cause. And this is exactly what the woman was doing, the woke right woman was doing with Tommy Robinson. Facts and logics meant nothing. Everything about was her narrative. And her narrative, or the woke right narrative, is that the Jews control the world. Anybody who supports them or likes them is evil and a part of a Zionist agenda to destroy Europe. And again, facts mean nothing. For an example, when Tommy Robinson said, well, I've been to Poland 5 times and I've only been to Israel twice, does this mean I'm an agent for Poland? These facts and logic mean nothing to these people. They'll just scream, well, you're a Zionist. out of emotion, the same way that the woke left. It could be a black man defending America and they'll go, well, you're a racist. And I've seen this. They'll call black people racist because facts, logic mean nothing. Everything is about their movement. And all they're programmed to do is call people a racist or a Zionist. And logic and common sense, Yuri Bezmen have talked about this. Once people are demoralized, you can't convince them facts and logics. You could put the evidence clearly in front of their eyes and they will not believe it. Number 5 is the narratives of victimhood. So both sides portray themselves as victims of powerful, corrupt systems. The woke left often emphasize systemic oppression. The woke right often emphasize cultural displacement or silencing. In both cases, grievance becomes a mobilizing force. Now, I actually think that both sides have some legitimate concerns. So the people on the left do have some concerns about the fact that our capitalist system is corrupt and broken. And the right definitely have concerns, as I do, about the demographic replacement. But what happens is when you define yourself as a complete and utter victim, and then you put corrupt people in their place who are not really the problem, that's when there's a problem. So the right, instead of looking at within the mirror our own country and our own people for being traitors, and certain real provable elements, such as the European Union and the World Economic Forum, they've made up this mythical idea that it's Jews doing all this, and we're the victims of the Jews, which is a load of rubbish. In the same way that the woke left say that whiteness is the problem, and Western imperialism, America, the West are the problem, when that's not the problem. So it's not that both sides don't have legitimate complaints, it's that they created this weird enemy who doesn't exist, whether it be white people for the woke left or the Zionist Jews for the woke right. Number 6 is censorship or deplatforming instincts. So despite free speech rhetoric on both sides, each supports restricting free speech they view as harmful. The definition of harm differs, but the impulse to silence remains the same. And this is obvious on the left. We saw with all the cancellation in 2016, 2020 especially, loads of people banned from social media who was anybody on the right. But on the woke right now, we're starting to see similar things. Like when I engage with some of them on social media, a lot of them will just block me because they don't want to hear common sense. One example, Academic Agent on YouTube. I commented on one of his comment sections. He was just like banned, blocked, and he does this to anybody who disagrees with him. And on one of his streams I was watching, so I used to follow him quite a lot, I remember when the Zionism topic came up and people were questioning him, he said, I don't want to discuss this matter. I don't even want to debate with somebody pro-Zionist. I'm happy in my echo chamber. So when people are not even willing to debate the other side because they don't want to hear it, you know that they're falling down dangerous territory. Number 7 is apocalyptic framing. So both frequently suggest society is on the brink of collapse. If their side does not prevail, catastrophe is inevitable. This creates urgency that justifies extreme measures. So we've seen it on the left, but on the right, it's absolutely true. Now, we all know, yes, there is a demographic crisis in the UK. But what the woke right are doing is they're saying, unless you completely purity spiral, unless you take absolute extreme measures like the Nazis, because a lot of them are Nazis, then we're not going to prevail. And this justifies their extreme measures. And that's why they say if their side doesn't prevail, catastrophe is inevitable. So unless you speak out for total remigration, then you're a traitor and we're going to lose the war. And anybody who comes up with sensible plans such as, okay, yes, we need mass deportations, but we don't need to kick out all the good migrants. Let's do this sensibly. You're seen as an enemy, even though you're actually good and they're the enemy. Number 8 is the simplification of complex problems. So complex social, economic or geopolitical issues are often reduced to a single cause, a single villain, a single solution. This makes messaging powerful but limits realistic policy making. And this is absolutely facts, because on the woke right, the single cause is total remigration. The single villain is the Zionist Jews, and the single solution is, again, total remigration. And it's powerful but limits realistic policy making, because they're not going to be able to carry out realistically this policy of total remigration, especially when they want to deport people who are actually English. So if someone's got an English parent and a Pakistani parent like Ben Habib, they want them deported, when it's just not realistic policy making and it's stupidity. Okay, so that explains the 8 reasons why the woke right or like the woke left. And I think it's very important that you avoid these type of people. They're very popular at the moment, but they are very, very dangerous. Just as the far left are dangerous, these woke right, far right people are dangerous. And I can usually sense evil when I'm speaking with it. There's many, as I say, I have similar conversations with the woke left, with the woke right, with extremist Muslims and extremist Christians. They're all brainwashed people who are stuck in sick ideologies. And logic, common sense, wisdom, God's righteousness means nothing to them. All they care about is their ideology. And whilst I am not a Christian, I do follow Christ. I believe Christ represents the light of God. The Logos in Christ represents the light of God. And I believe Christianity has lost that message, but this is not the point I'm trying to make here. The point I'm making is that I follow Christ and the light of Christ and the love of the Father. And that is the only solution. The only solution is to be reborn again of the Spirit of Christ, follow the way of the Logos, and then we'll make all our problems disappear with the righteousness of God. And all of these movements are anti-Christ because they do not point you to Christ. Anybody who doesn't point you to Christ is the enemy. And they're trying to achieve righteousness through their own will, through man's will, whether it be political or religious belief. So whether hardcore Muslims or hardcore people on the left, they think they're good, but they're anti-Christ. Whether they're Christians or woke right, they think they're doing good, but these are all of man. They're not of spiritual truth and of righteousness of Christ. And this is why I've set up the Way of the Logos UK, to encourage English people, British people, to follow the way of the Logos, be born again in the Spirit of Christ, return to God, the love of the Father, and let's be the light of the United Kingdom. And do not follow people in the darkness. They're blind leading the blind, and they're not going to take us to the promised land. And that's why I encourage you to subscribe to this channel and join the movement. This is a real spiritual movement in the United Kingdom. This only way we can do good is through the Father and through Christ and the power of the Logos. Logos and the Christ are pretty much the same thing. And that's the path I have chosen in life. And I know that it served me well and it's the correct way. And I'm encouraging the country to do the same thing. It's not about any individual human being. It's about God and Christ. And that's the only way we can solve our problems. So as I said, subscribe, like the video if you like it, share it with as many people as you can, especially young people, because I notice a lot of youngsters are falling for the woke right nonsense. Whereas rather than that, we need to bring them to Christ and get this movement going, and that's how we'll save our country. God bless everybody today, and goodbye.